I want to say vividly, but probably not vividly. When I was in 11th grade, I went to Lafayette High School. I was new to that high school, and as you probably heard me say many times before, I was a military brat and moved around quite often. I was new to Lexington, pretty much. I had arrived in Lexington the very end of my sophomore year. There was only about a month of school left. But for my junior year, I went to Lafayette. Lafayette was a huge campus, and it very much had a college feel. The one thing I wasn't used to about being in Kentucky was the number of people that dropped the N-word constantly. Being from Los Angeles, it's not like I'd never heard it before, but for whatever reason, it didn't register with me until I got to Kentucky. And I was walking down the hallway with a group of friends of mine, and some very racist little boys, there's like 3 or 4 of them, started dropping the N-word in the most derogatory way that I can imagine. Now, I was new, so they didn't really know me. The one thing that I did know, when my friends told me, come on, let it go, I wasn't gonna let that go. You done made that up. You got the right one today. They was gonna learn today. It started one of the biggest brawls in the school. I don't want to say it was a race riot or whatever, but I couldn't understand how people just let that go. 'Cause I wasn't one. I wasn't going to let that go. And if nobody else was going to stand out and say something, I was. Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steed, nupefromdaville, and we are talking about Doctor Who Season 4, Episode 10, Midnight. Midnight is a very interesting, very creepy episode, but fantastic. The Doctor and Donna travel to a planet that is known pretty much as a vacation spot. And while you're on this vacation spot, you have a chance to take a transport that takes you around the surface of this planet. Now think about this whole planet is basically made from what we call diamond, which sounds intriguing because if you're like me, you're like, ooh, let me on the surface for just a few minutes. Let me fill my pockets. So when I get back, I'm paid. I'm rich. I ain't say it. But there's something about the surface and about the way that the sun hits the surface and then reflects off the diamonds that makes it unlivable for any human being. Like you can't just live, or you can't just be out on the surface. You will instantly, disintegrate. So even the glass on this transport ship, where they have most of it covered, is 15 feet thick. As it is with the resort where Donna decides to stay back. This time she's like, she has been through enough this season, and she has. That she decides to kick it by the pool, kick her feet up, work on a tan, and just stay. And the Doctor, he's going to take the tour. He leaves her with the famous words, what could go wrong? The problem is that they're going on a new route to their destination, and on this new route, tragedy strikes. Something is outside the transport and starts banging on the transport. Next thing you know, the cabin of the transport with the captain and the mechanic is ripped off the ship and is gone. Something is on the outside. trying to get in. We have 7 or 8 passengers on the inside, including the hostess, and now everyone is visibly shaken, and one of the worst things ever happens. Groupthink. Whatever the entity is that is outside somehow makes its way inside, and it infects one of the passengers, a woman by the name of Sky. There is a husband and wife and son on board, and the wife will not stop screaming, and her cabin fever turns into groupthink. Now, what is groupthink? It is more famously known as mob mentality. And the succession of events makes it where they are ready to throw the doctor outside so that he would disintegrate. When I started that brawl in high school, I thought that I was standing out from the crowd, that if no one else was going to speak up, that I was going to be the one voice that spoke up, because I was doing this for all the other black people and minorities and people who are weird and different, who didn't have a voice. I was standing up for justice. That's what I thought. I didn't realize that I was contributing to groupthink. It was just that my group thought different than the other group. We have a lot of that in this country. Groupthink, mob mentality. As a matter of fact, we have a rich, sad, tragic history of it. Emmett Till is the first one that popped into my mind. We have a long history, and it's not just against minorities. As we saw from this episode, the mob mentality quickly took over due to fear. As black people, we have this groupthink thing. It is a weird dynamic. If someone black runs past you, they don't yell any excuse, they don't give you any explanation. They're running, I'm running. I don't wait to see what's going on. I take off running too. I'll figure it out later. That's groupthink. We have a very sad history in this country. We saw it during Black Lives Matter. We see it now at rallies in this political climate that we're in. Groupthink, mob mentality takes over. And it takes intelligence to stand out from that crowd. But it's nigh impossible to stand out from a crowd that is fueled by fear and sometimes ignorance. You know, when all think alike, no one is actually thinking. You know, the world will tell you to fit in. And even though sometimes in your heart, in your spirit, if you're one of those people, the universe will tell you to stand out. But it's difficult to stand out. To be out on that branch all by yourself. A lot of times when people stand out and they have shied away, they moved away from groupthink, mob mentality. A mob mentality will turn on you. Whatever the issue they were on before, they will turn on you because you think you're better than us. You're striving to be superior to us. No, I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday. Every day when I wake up, that is my goal. To be at least 1% better than yesterday. And even when you think you're right, even when you stand out on that limb, sometimes you create your own groupthink because now other people have seen that you had the courage to stand on a limb. So now we're going to stand out on a limb with you. Not because we had the courage to do it, but since you do it, I'm going to do it too. But you know, if one person is on the limb, now a bunch of people are out on that same limb with you, what happens to the limb? It breaks. We don't worry. We don't think about the results. I'm going to leave you with this. One bright star is better than 1,000 dull moons. It's hard to break away from groupthink, from mob mentality, to actually use your God-given intelligence and stop and think for a moment, what is a better course of actions? I thought I was standing up, doing something for justice, and I created a bigger issue than what was already there. Should something have been done? Yes. Did I choose the right thing? Hindsight being 2020, probably not. I didn't ask what had been tried before. I just knew that this was a new situation for me, and this was how I was going to deal with it. All I can ask you to do is be better than you are before, and not to subscribe to groupthink. Don't let someone else think for you. This is Rakai Steed, nupefromdaville. Look in the description to see the link where Centel and I covered this, and you can see our reaction. Like, comment, share, and by all means, subscribe.